What if that old, dirty wheat penny hiding in your pocket right now could be worth a life-changing fortune? Most people ignore these worn coins, but a few rare wheat pennies have stunned collectors by selling for thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some carry mysterious minting errors, while others were struck in secret during wartime, making them incredibly scarce. Before you spend another penny, you might want to take a closer look, because one tiny detail could turn your spare change into a massive payday. What if I told you that a dirty, forgotten 1948 penny one you might walk past on the ground could be worth thousands of dollars, maybe even more depending on what's hiding in the details? That's right. This isn't just pocket change. This could be big money, a true hidden treasure, sitting unnoticed in your home right now. Now let's go back in time for a second. It's 1948. The world is rebuilding after World War II. The economy is shifting, people are saving every coin they can, and the US Mint is producing millions of wheat pennies for circulation. These coins were used every day, passed through hands, dropped in jars, forgotten in drawers. Nobody thought they'd ever be special. But here's the twist. Some of those ordinary 1948 wheat pennies came out with tiny, almost invisible differences that collectors today are willing to pay life-changing value for. And this is where things start to get exciting. First, you need to check the date 1948. Then immediately look under the date for the mint mark. No letter means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. And an S? That's San Francisco. Now listen carefully, because this is where the money begins to separate. The 1948 wheat penny is one of the most desirable from this year, especially in high-grade condition. While millions were minted, very few survived in pristine shape. A bright, full red example has sold for over $3,000 to $6,000 at auction. That's a simple penny turning into serious big money. But don't look away yet, because the next detail is where things get even more shocking. Let's talk about condition and color. Collectors divide these coins into three categories: brown, red-brown, and full red. That bright, original red shine is what drives the highest prices. If your 1948 penny still has that glowing copper-red surface, you could be holding a hidden treasure worth far more than you expect. Now here comes a detail that most people completely ignore. Look closely at the numbers and the date, especially the 8 in 1948. There's a known variety where the 8 appears slightly doubled or has unusual shaping due to die wear or striking issues. While subtle, these varieties can push a coin's value into the hundreds or even thousands depending on clarity and condition. And just when you think that's it, here comes another surprise. There are doubled die errors in 1948 wheat pennies. These are coins where the design was struck twice, slightly misaligned. You might see doubling in Liberty or In God We Trust. If you spot this clearly, your coin could jump to $200, $500, even $1,000 or more. Now imagine this real scenario. A collector sorting through an old inherited coin album noticed a slightly unusual 1948 penny. The lettering looked thicker, almost like a shadow. After sending it for grading, it was confirmed as a doubled die variety in high condition. That coin later sold for over $2,500. A moment of curiosity turned into life-changing value. But wait, we're not done. Let's reset your attention again, because this next feature is often overlooked and it can mean serious money. Check the rim of your coin. A normal coin has a clean, raised edge. But if your 1948 penny looks slightly stretched, flattened, or missing part of the rim, you could be looking at a broad strike or off-center error. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is shifted, can easily sell for $100 to $500, and sometimes more depending on how dramatic they are. And here's another shocking find. Clipped planchet errors. If your coin looks like a small piece has been cleanly cut out of the edge, that's not damage, that's a mint error. These can fetch $50, $100, or several $100s based on size and visibility. Now let's talk about something critical that could make or break your coin's value. Do not clean it. I know it's tempting, especially if it looks old and dirty. But cleaning a coin can instantly destroy its collector value. That natural aging, that original surface, that's exactly what collectors are looking for. Even a dirty coin can hold hidden treasure if the details are right. What if I told you a dirty, worn-out 1944 penny, one you might ignore or even throw away, could be worth over $100,000, even pushing toward $1 million in the right condition? Sounds unbelievable, right? But this is exactly the kind of hidden treasure collectors dream about, and it might already be sitting in your pocket. Now let me pull you into the mystery. The year 1944 wasn't just any year. The world was deep in World War II, and the US Mint was under pressure to produce coins using materials that wouldn't interfere with the war effort. In 1943, pennies were made from steel to save copper. But in 1944, the mint switched back, using recycled shell casings from the battlefield. That means every 1944 wheat penny carries a piece of history, literally forged from war. But here's where things get shocking. A few 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Yes, *** steel pennies that should never exist in 1944 ***. These rare mistakes are among the most valuable coins in the world. And one of them? Sold for over $370,000 at auction. Let that sink in, a single penny turning into life-changing money. So how do you know if you have one? First, check the date, 1944. Then look at the color. Most 1944 pennies are copper, which gives them that classic brown or reddish tone. But if your coin looks silver or gray, stop everything. Grab a magnet. If it sticks, you could be holding one of the rarest coins ever made, a 1944 steel wheat penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now here's another twist that most people completely miss. Even regular 1944 copper pennies can bring in big money under the right conditions. The key is the mint mark. Look below the date. No mark means Philadelphia. A small d means Denver. And an S stands for San Francisco. The 1944 wheat penny in high-grade red condition has sold for over $5,000 to $10,000. Why? Because fewer survived in pristine condition, especially with that bright original red shine. And that brings us to something critical. Color matters more than you think. Collectors classify these coins as brown, red-brown, or full red. That bright, glowing red surface? That's where the serious collectors and serious money come in. A full red 1944 penny can be worth 10, even 20 times more than a worn brown one. Now let me reset your attention again, because this next part could change everything. Errors. This is where ordinary coins turn into hidden treasure. One of the most valuable is the 1944 doubled die error. Look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see a clear doubling or shadow effect, you could be looking at a coin worth $500, $1,000, even more, depending on condition. But wait, it gets even better. There are also off-metal errors, like 1944 pennies struck on foreign planchets or leftover blanks from other coins. These are extremely rare, and when they show up at auction, collectors go wild. Some have sold for tens of thousands of dollars. Now imagine this. A collector once found a strange-looking 1944 penny in a jar of old coins. It looked slightly off, lighter in color, unusual texture. After testing, it turned out to be one of those rare steel errors. That coin later sold for over $100,000. A dusty jar turned into a life-changing payday. And here's another shocking detail you need to check right now. Look at the rim of your coin. A normal penny has a clean, raised edge. But if you see a broad strike error, where the rim looks flattened or stretched, that's a mint mistake. These can easily bring in $200 to $1,000 plus, depending on how dramatic the error is. Also keep an eye out for clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin looks like it's been bitten off. That's not damage, that's a rare production error. And yes, collectors pay good money for it. Now let's talk about condition again, because this is where fortunes are made. Coins that look old and dirty might actually be hiding incredible value underneath. Never clean them. Cleaning can destroy collector value instantly. That natural aging, that original surface, that's exactly what serious buyers want. And here's a fact that might surprise you. Even a worn 1944 wheat penny can still be worth more than face value. But combine the right condition, the right mint mark, or a rare error, and suddenly you're looking at big money. What if I told you, a dirty, forgotten penny from 1940 could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars today? That's right, this tiny piece of copper, hiding in old jars, drawers, or coin rolls, could be a hidden treasure waiting to change your life. Now here's where it gets interesting. Back in 1940, the world was on the edge of chaos. War tensions were rising, economies were shifting, and millions of these wheat pennies were struck quietly by the US Mint. Nobody at the time imagined that decades later, collectors would hunt them down like buried gold. But not all 1940 wheat pennies are equal. Some carry mysterious errors, rare mint marks, and shocking details that can turn a simple coin into big money. And here's the first shocking twist. A 1940 wheat penny might look common, but certain versions have sold for over $10,000 at auction. Yes, a single penny. That's not hype, that's real collector demand. So how do you know if you're holding one of these life-changing coins? Start with the basics. Look at the date **1940*** and check just below it for a mint mark. If there's no letter, it was made in Philadelphia. If you see a small D, that means Denver. And an S? That's San Francisco. Now listen carefully, because this is where the money starts to separate. The 1940s wheat penny, especially in high grade, can bring in serious value. Some pristine examples have crossed $5,000 to $8,000 at major auctions. Why? Because fewer survived in perfect condition, making them incredibly desirable. But wait, it gets even crazier. Let's talk about errors, the real jackpot of coin collecting. One of the most exciting is the 1940 doubled die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice slightly off alignment, creating a visible doubling in the letters or numbers. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see a shadow-like doubling, you could be looking at a coin worth hundreds to thousands of dollars. And here's another shocker. There are off-center strikes, coins that weren't properly aligned when stamped. If part of the design is missing and shifted, collectors go wild for these. Depending on how dramatic the error is, these can sell for $500, $1,000, even more. Now let's reset your attention, because this next detail is often overlooked and it could mean big money. Check the color of your 1940 wheat penny. Coins are graded as brown, BN, red brown, RB, or full red, RD. That bright red shine? That's what collectors crave. A full red 1940 penny in mint condition can jump in value dramatically, sometimes 10 to 20 times higher than a dull brown version. And here's something most people miss. Look at the rim. A clean, sharp rim usually means the coin hasn't been heavily circulated. But if you spot a broad strike error, or the rim looks stretched or flattened, you could be holding a rare mint mistake worth serious cash. Now imagine this. A collector once found a nearly flawless 1940 wheat penny tucked inside an old family coin book. It looked ordinary at first glance, but after grading, it turned out to be a high-grade red example. That coin later sold for over $12,000 at auction. A simple penny, transformed into a life-changing value. And yes, stories like this are real. But don't assume every 1940 penny is worth thousands. Most circulated ones are still worth a few cents to a few dollars. The secret is in the details, the tiny differences that most people ignore. Let's go deeper. Check for die cracks, small raised lines across the coin caused by a damaged die. Some collectors specifically hunt these. While not always extremely valuable, certain dramatic cracks can push a coin into the $100 plus range. Also watch for clipped planchets, coins that look like a small chunk is missing from the edge. These mint errors can instantly boost value into the hundreds. And here's another shocking fact to keep you hooked. Even a worn 1940 wheat penny can be worth good money if it has a rare error. Condition matters, but rarity beats condition almost every time. So right now, think about it. How many old pennies are sitting in your home? In jars, boxes, inherited collections? You could be sitting on hidden treasure without even realizing it.